bloody... I feel like I'm at work. I've got my headphones on them for a second, folks. Let's just make sure. So let's move that might be a little bit better. Nope. Should have done this before, shouldn't I? I think that's about right. Is it? It is for now. Give it a minute. Let's see who gets on. I think it's time to start, and we'll crack one open whilst people are joining tonight's beer of choice. Hey Matt, how's it going, buddy? Tonight we're going with the Irish Classic Murphy's. With this fizzy one. Move that there for a sec. That's good to hear. Awesome, buddy. I hope you've been having a good week and you've got some beers to open as well. What just out of interest, what are you drinking tonight? Have you got some beers with you tonight, Matt? Oh, try that. Do you know what, weirdly, I've always been a Guinness drinker. And I was out a few weeks back and there was no oh, okay. There's no Guinness where I was, and they're like, yeah, but we've got Murphy's, and I was like, oh, I don't really like Murphy's. I don't know why I didn't like Murphy's, because it's a good one. You got some bush, and you also love your wine as well. You can't go wrong with a glass of wine every now and again. You really can't. Yeah, sometimes a fella likes to feel sophisticated and stuff, doesn't he? Yeah. Right, well, we'll get into it. So, as usual, for the people that are just kind of coming on, house rules. If you need at any point to get up to go to the toilet, just feel free to go to the toilet. Don't worry about that. Don't feel like you have to raise your hand to leave the room. In the case of emergencies, if there is a fire wherever you are, well, that's weird. That's not in the middle, which is where I feel like I should be looking. If there's a fire wherever you are, then yeah, leave the building carefully. I don't know, what do they say? I've got the keep your hands in the cart at all times whilst the cart's moving, but that's not whilst the house is on fire. If at any point something comes up, we'll try and steer clear of politics and touchy things. Sometimes some conversations may lead into that. If they do, and anybody starts to get a little bit triggered, nobody's trying to insult anyone. No one's trying to piss anyone off. Just chill. If you're not happy, feel free to leave. But it is what it is. No one's trying to offend. I mean, hopefully nobody's trying to offend. Yeah, that's kind of house rules. I'll try and steer clear of political chat sometimes if it dips into it. Anyway, tis what it is. Tonight, the beer of choice. Although, like I say, so I was just in the corner shop. Thought I'd pick up some Murphy's. I'm usually Guinness kind of guy. But a few weeks back, went somewhere, then got a Guinness, and like, well, we've got Murphy's, and I was like, oh, I don't really know about that. I don't know why I didn't ever think about drinking Murphy's in the past. It's all right. I don't know if we've got any Irish on. Anyone from Ireland? Are you a Guinness or a Murphy's kind of guy? If you are on, if you want to put down in the chat roughly where you are in the world, obviously not specifically your exact locations. If you're happy to divulge where you are in the world, put that down in the bottom. I And I thought what I was thinking was, I always tried to think of like like a theme for the evening, although the last one didn't really have a theme, it was just like open mic kind of thing. Just coming back from Germany, in Germany, there was 2 events. The first one was Enforce Tac and the second one was IWA. I thought it just might be useful to kind of chat about the different things that happened at both of these. Just chat about what happened at both of these, the things that I thought that was good, things that I've learned about, especially Enforce Tac, that I kind of didn't know before I went. Things that I felt were missing this year. You may have noticed from some of my content that there was definitely manufacturers that I make a pilgrimage to go to each year. We've got a reasonably good relationship with them and always welcomed on stand. And the fact that there was still loads of people that I went to see, but there was definitely some people that were missing. And I think I need to like triple check on possibly the future with IWA, especially because there just seems to be less and less people, or less and less of the people that I make content with, and kind of So it's a bit of a weird one. Italian, Irish, Cherokee, Indian roots. That is a freaking that's an awesome mix. Hello to hope you're doing well in across the pond in the US. Where was I? Oh yeah, cool. So first thing is I'm going to take this off because I keep messing with it. No, my head's cold now. The first thing is, so when I went, there was 2 events. The first one was Enforce Tac, and the second one is IWA. So Enforce Tac itself is it's still a trade event, but it's closed a lot to the public. So it's more to do with your military buyers and those kind of things. So one of the things that I learned certainly before I went, which I didn't realize before I got there, was there's a certain level of anonymity, so that when people go into it, they're granted with their ticket, they're granted a certain level of anonymity because of the type of person that they may be. Some of that may be that they're a military buyer for whichever country. Sometimes it might be that they work directly with the military, whichever company that they work for, or it could simply be that the people walking around were the buyers for the military, or they might be enlisted soldiers. There might be loads of different things. So it limited what we could do, or at least what I could do. And I think to some small extent, I didn't realize that before I went. But I worked directly with the EPIG guys. Now, I know I've told you guys a lot about these in the past. In fact, huge shout out to Martin and the rest of the crew from EPIG. They're almost like a German version of me. When I'm over in Germany, I'm like the David Hasselhoff of whatever it is that I do. So yeah, they are absolutely awesome. And last year at IWA, I've been talking to them, and they'd mentioned about some of the challenges that they have with interviews in English, because their first language is German, which I always find funny because they always complain. They're always like, "Oh, I'm ever so sorry, my English isn't the best." I'm like, "Brother, don't worry. Your English is 1,000 times better than my German. I speak a little bit of German. I always pick up more the more times I go. But the last time I learned to speak German was when I was like 13, maybe 14, when I was at high school. So it's been some time. And they were absolutely awesome people. So we all stayed in this massive house just outside. There's a place, I think it's called Allersberg. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. But that's just to the south of Nuremberg. So we all stayed there. There were 17 of us in a big Airbnb, and that was a lot of fun. Really, really nice people, really welcoming. That first night that I was there was this kind of weird who's this English dude that's kind of in. The second night, ice was completely broken. We're all making inappropriate comments, sharing memes we shouldn't be sharing, and just chewing the fat. It was absolutely brilliant. So what I did was, whilst I was over there for Enforce Tac, I did some of their English language interviews. But then, whilst I was not doing those, they had these massive carts. Are you from Germany as well? Okay. I should probably say, I've forgotten how you say hello already. Well, actually, I think I just said hello because it's the same but with an A, isn't it? The bit that I got stuck on was some Germans say ciao as you leave, but then some Germans say Wiedersehen as you leave, but then some other Germans would say tschüss as you leave as well. So that kind of threw my head a little bit. But I suppose it's the same as in England. People would say tra, they say see you, or they'd say different things. But yeah, I loved it there. German hospitality is absolutely awesome. But yeah, so we did this big event, and they had these huge carts, which you got sound, you got audio, you got camera crew there. There was a director, and then there was like general dogs bodies, because when you're on the stand, let's say we were doing an interview with drone operator X, whatever it was. Yeah, so you're doing this interview. They're talking all about how this new drone system works, or at least the big thing this year was all anti-drone technology, whether that was something that can stop drones in the sky from kilometers away, or something that would mask you. So there's a lot of people with like ponchos and smocks kind of thing. So as soon as you put it on, it just, to thermal, to night, to all of the different things, just completely masked you, so that the drones couldn't see, which makes sense with the things that are going on in the world right now. But yeah, so you'd be doing an interview with those. But like I say, there was a level of anonymity on people that were there that you had to try and protect that. So if anybody walked onto the stage or walked onto the booth in the background, then you're like, sorry, you can't come on. Or what they had was, they had like, I don't know, if I was being dog's body for the day, I'd be stood just off camera, kind of, you're not coming on the stand. And shut the guns a bit. Sorry, sir, you're not allowed kind of on here. Which was kind of cool as well. But yeah, it's really weird because like you get these people walking around in some like really nice suits. There's clearly a lot of money, and then yeah, there's me stood there in a Enforce Tac TV shirt, going, "I'm sorry, you're not allowed on the stand at the moment. We're just filming." But the stuff there was epic, really cool. No, I'm not from a military background. I've always been honest about that. I'm just a nerd that's really into my gear. But seeing the stuff that was there this year, whether it was weapon systems, whether it was all of the different kit and gear, backpacks, the different manufacturers that were there, that I'd always wanted to kind of go over and see. With Enforce Tac, that level of, that tier in kind of gear, didn't mean to make that rhyme, but the tier just kind of, it was just picked up, massively picked up. So much so that there was quite a few people that I'd spoken to there, and they're like, "Oh, you're brilliant, you're going to be at IWA," and they're like, "No, we're not going to be there this year," which is a shame, because we will get to that. There's people that was definitely missed. But yeah, it was nuts. And in there, with it being, you'd have active servicemen and women being in there, and they were looking around, and they'd be following somebody that was the buyer for whoever, so they could kind of explain it to them. Some of those guys were absolutely freaking massive. Absolutely massive. I was talking to a Finnish guy who was in the Finnish army, left the army, became an MMA fighter, then did some time in Oh, why is my memory so bad? Does it begin with a K? Ukraine. Did some time in Ukraine. And you see these guys sometimes, and they're sitting, you chat to them, and they're the nicest dudes ever. Honestly, they give you the shirt off the back, and you look at them, you think, you would absolutely fuck me up if I tried. This guy was absolutely towered over me and was just as wide. So yeah, that was kind of cool. But you just saw loads of those kind of really fit, buff dudes just walking around, picking up stuff, and I know they'd hold something in their arms, which for me was a reasonably large rifle, but for them looked like a little kind of Ruger 1022 in their hands. They're absolutely massive. I'm sure, well, as I say, I've never been in the military, but for people that have been in the military, do you get like extra sized clothes? Now I know you must get extra sized clothes. There isn't just like large, extra large, but for folks in the military, do you get like extra long legs and extra long arms, or is it you just if you're very tall and you want to roll your sleeves up, then you go into the Marines, whereas if you're short and you can't you're happy to not roll your sleeves, you go into the army instead. I don't know how it works, but yeah, the caliber of folks in there with the propensity to violence, if it was called for, was just absolutely off the scale. It was it was mental. Oh, that does go down really well. So yeah, that was kind of cool. But I think for me, I misunderstood, not necessarily misunderstood the brief, but I thought I'd be working for Epic Group, and I was working with the Epic team, but they were actually Enforce Tac TV. So they worked on behalf of Enforce Tac to do all the media, to do the media and the social media for that event, which again was very cool. Very cool to see how those guys work. Like I say, there was a team. There was 3 teams, in fact. We were all pulling around these huge carts, which had got all the camera stuff on and setting that up. And behind the scenes, the people at Enforce Tac, they were going to each of the different manufacturers. I'm getting one now. They're going to each of the different manufacturers and asking if they wanted to have some filming done on the stand. So we had quite a busy schedule of when you're done here, you need to go here. When you're done here, and it's all kind of set because each of the carts had a timetable for the day. I was one of the few between them that was just kind of going. So I'd stay on one cart for a few hours, but then in the afternoon I'd need to go on to another cart because there was some English language kind of interviews that they needed to do there as well. Like Maglite flashlights, yeah, I was a bit of a fan of Maglite flashlights back in the day. It's a shame that they kind of they. I mean, I'm not too sure, but my impression with Maglite was that they just kind of rested on their laurels a little bit, and so many other companies came up behind and just went, well, we need to start using lithium-ion batteries. We need to start using LEDs, and they just kind of fell away, didn't they? Back in the day, especially was it those because they had different lengths of them. There was like a 7 or 8 inch one, wasn't there? That was a beast back in the day. I love that little thing. I remember an ex-girlfriend of mine. We'd gone somewhere, and she found it in my car. It was in my glove box. She's like, "Oh, this is a bit phallic, isn't it? Do you keep this to make you feel better, right?" No, it's just a torch. I use it to see in the dark. That was it, really. She was like, "Oh, okay." That was it. Where was I? Yeah, so that was Enforce Tac. But I think because of the restrictions on what you could film, it just meant I was a little bit more limited to who I could go up to and I could kind of try and get in with. But that doesn't mean that I didn't. luckily I've come away with lots of business cards, so hopefully it'll be a good one for that. There is one which I've lost. Absolutely punching myself in the face. Helican Techs were there, but they weren't IWA. And I went up and had a look at some of the new products that are coming out for later this year and the following year. They got some nice stuff coming out. And as I was walking away, one of the ladies came over and she's like, "Oh, you Randy from Moreland?" I was like, "Yeah." So she gave me a card, and I don't know what I've done. I've checked everywhere. And I have to email them and try and see and say, "Hi, remember me," kind of thing. I know this sounds really bad, but I might have lost the card that you gave me, which is really kind of bad. But yeah, hopefully I'll be able to get back in, or at least get in with them, working with them directly, which I think would be nice. Because they've also got their other kind of higher tier products from Direct Action as well, which would be cool. But yeah, there was loads of companies there. So there was, although no, UF Pro were kind of there. I got my hands on some UF Pro pants for the first time. Those pants are really, really Gucci pants. Not cheap, so I might have to save up to use some Moorlander pennies to get a pair. I think I owe it to myself in 2026 to get myself some UF Pro pants. But they didn't have a stand by themselves. They were on the Linderhof stand, which is another big German retailer for kind of tactical gear. They were really cool. Corinthia were there, but they had like a weird kind of closed stand. 510, 511 were there as well. Loads of cool stuff. Absolutely loads of cool stuff. Who did I walk past? I walked past Taran Tactical. I could have reached out and touched him, although he would have shot me within a second. Who else was there? James from what's it called? Is it TFB TV? James, I think his name is. He was there. He's really cool. Again, I was pulling a cart, so I couldn't stop him. There was another guy who's ex-US forces that played a character in a Call of Duty game. I think his name's Tulamb. Is it Tulamb? He was a massive unit, absolutely massive. Although he's shorter than I was expecting him to be, so that was kind of cool. Got to see him. Are you looking to Vast? Yeah, so I've tried a few Vasteel lights from Flashlight Go. They've sent me a few. In fact, there's the one. Yeah, there's one here. This is the LEP one. This thing is crazy how sharp the light is on this. No, unfortunately, it wasn't Captain Price. No, he was when you play multiplayer. It was a few years back, and there was a character. I think the character's name was Ronin. I think it was called Ronin or something like that. But the guys, I'm sure the guys. In fact, I'm gonna have to Google it now. I will have to Google it. Tulamb. Yeah, his name's His name's Tulamb. It's not with a B on the end. That's my spelling. It's Tulam. And I think he played a character called Ronin in the game. Yeah, so he's an army veteran. He was in the army. There's some other stuff on here which I don't really know what it means, but yeah, he was in the army. That is probably how it's spelt. Yes, it's. I think trying to with a British keyboard, it's a struggle to get those to get the what's it's on there. But yeah, I'm guessing that's probably how it's spelt. He was a very cool dude. There was a lot of people kind of around him. I don't know much about him outside of Call of Duty, but I've seen him in kind of a few other things. Again, seemed a really nice kind of dude. Was happy to stop and chat with people and get photos and stuff. Which again was really weird because we were told we couldn't take photos, but then everybody else was wandering around taking photos willy nilly. It could have been whoever in the background. And I've seen other stuff online from other people that were there, and they're just taking photos of whatever they want. Yeah, which was a bit weird. So that was Enforce Tac. But as I mentioned, so we were actually Enforce Tac TV. But if you have a look on the Enforce Tac TV on YouTube, or if you check out the Epic group, then you can see the stuff. You can see the stuff that we were up to. But yeah, loads of companies. That was like brilliant. Are you guys gonna be? I did check the Helicon booth. It's a bit of a thing with Helicon at the moment. Helicon were at Enforce Tac, which is purely for your big buyers and your huge retail buyers, which I kind of get if they're there for the huge retail buyers, but they weren't at IWA. In fact, Helicon Techs were at right. So all of these Helicon Techs, 511, Pentagon, UF Pro, Corinthia, Arctis. There's probably another. Storm, Highlander Force, Carrymore SF weren't at. Were all of these were at Enforce Tac, but not at IWA. Who else? The Finnish company, Savota, and actually no, Savota weren't there, but Direct Action were there. So Direct Action and Helicon Techs shared the same booth, with them being that kind of sister company. Verstelecker, they were at Enforce Tac, but they weren't at IWA. Even like strange things like for the last 4 years, was this my fourth year? This is my fourth year there. The German knife company, Boker, German knife company, Solingen. You'd think that they'd be there at a big event like IWA to sell or to show the new knives that they're going to be bringing out. German company, German place. So Boker and LED Lenser were at Enforce Tac, but not IWA. It was really surprising, genuinely really surprising, the amount of companies that had been and seen at Enforce Tac. I had a chat with them, give them cards and that sort of stuff. And I said, "Oh no worries. I tell you what, if I'll come to you in IWA, I'll make some content for my channel, which is very similar to what the Epic guys do." And they're just like, "No, we're not doing IWA this year. We're just doing this one." And yeah, it was weird. Now, I'm not unhappy with the content that I made, because I was happy to see the people that I saw at IWA, but I was just disappointed that there was so many more that I wanted to see, that I know from previous. I mean, you could look at it, well, you're only after the views, but from previous years, I know from the other stands or the other booths that I'd been to that you guys watch, because I can see the views, so they must be popular, just weren't there. Really, really, really weird. And to take Helicon Techs, for example, they're there at something like IWA. So Enforce Tac is just for big buyers, and the requirements to get in are really high. You've got to make sure that it's this, that, and the other to make sure that you can get in. With IWA, it's not as high. So if you wanted to buy a ticket and go on the Saturday, say, then you could just get a ticket. So if you're into airsoft, you go, you have a look at the airsoft hall, because there's a whole hall dedicated to airsoft, which this last year was this big, this year was this big. You could go, you can look at your airsoft rifles, you can look at the airsoft stuff, and then you can go and you can see the people whose gear you wear, which a lot of us kind of wear Helican Tech stuff. So it's IWA is absolutely their audience. And I'm just not sure why they weren't there. Why, for the second year running, they've made the decision to go to the other one instead of IWA, or not doing both. So it was befuddling. I couldn't work out why they would do that. And I guess I think, as far as the economic side, because I know, so with two events being back to back, I know the events aren't necessarily as big as something like SHOT Show in the US, but if you'd got SHOT Show in the US for 4 days and then pretty much the same event after it, because the weird thing is they're not the same company. They don't play well together. So at the Nuremberg Messe, I'm not sure, let's say there's 12 different halls. It's a huge kind of, each one's really weirdly shaped, but there's 12 different halls. So Enforce Tac is the first one for 4 days, and that's in halls 7 to 12 or 6 to 12. And they've got all of the stock in there. So all of the stands, all of the stock, and it's there. You go in, you walk around. But when they have IWA, that's in halls 1 through to 5. So they don't reuse the halls and the layout, because it's a completely different event. It's completely different management, completely different people that you're paying to have a booth there, and for the advertising and the floor space and all of that sort of stuff. So for an exhibitor, for a manufacturer to have both events right next to each other, back to back, you either need all of that stock on that booth in one hall, take it all apart, ship it across the place to another booth in another hall, set it all up, and then have it ready for the next day. Or, which is what actually happens a lot of the time, is you've got one booth that you just paid, I don't know, no idea, but let's say $5 or $6 grand to have this booth, plus all of the stock that's on it. And then in the other hall, for the event that happens the following day, for another 4 days, you have another booth that you've probably paid $5 or $6 grand for, with God knows how much stock on it. So it's mind blowing how it's worked. So maybe that's the reason that somebody's like, well, if we're going to have 2 stands in 2 separate halls with twice the amount of stock there, should we go for the higher value customer kind of thing? Which is nice, because they're the big ticket people that'll come in that work for Amazon or whatever, and they'll just be like, I tell you what, we'll buy 1,000 of these. I mean, it's probably not even that. It's probably not Amazon, but it's whoever it is. They're like, oh, they're the type of people that just go, brilliant, whatever you've got, we'll buy the whole job lot tomorrow. Or should they sit in the other hall, which are your prime kind of customers, but they just buy 1 or 2? I just didn't get it. And like I say, so it wasn't just Helican Tech. There was quite a lot, all the ones that I just mentioned before, that it just seemed that the people that would be there that want to pick something up and they want to look at it and go, actually, yeah, that's awesome, I'm going to get one of them, kind of thing, because you can't buy it. It's not like a trade, consumer show. which you can't go there and you can't buy stuff. You get given loads of kind of patches and stuff, but you can't go and buy stuff. It's there for people to look and to go, oh, brilliant, this will be out soon. And yeah, like I say, it was just kind of strange that they weren't there. And having been last year, this year I've noticed that the halls that they're in are the smaller halls. And weirdly, when you went last year, you'd have a booth or a stand, and then there'd be like 2 meters in between that stand and the next one. This year, there was a stand, and then there's probably 3 meters in between it. So they're still in some of the larger halls. Like with Enforce Tac, Hall 7 was the best one. That was the one that everybody wanted to be in. That's the kind of where all of the people were paying top money to kind of have a booth in that hall. But in the IWA version, there was still those popular halls, but the gap, the distance between the stands was a lot bigger. And even from the airsoft side, there was loads of companies this year, like last year, Novrich, Silverback. I'm going to struggle to remember all of them now. Umarex were there because they're in the big hall next to H&K anyway. But yeah, it's just weird. Like I say, I'm not unhappy with the content that I made, and I thoroughly enjoyed the time that I was there, but it just felt strange that these companies weren't there that I assumed would be there, because the people that are going into it are just smack bang in the middle of their target audience. And yeah, they just weren't there, which is a bit weird. So with the setting the days close, what they've done, and this was again was just like a strange thing while we were there, because there was so many different rumors about what was happening. So IWA, just before the event, came out with a thing saying, look, this time of year is, yeah, Speckner Arms. It was, oh, hey, Florian, how's it? So Florian is so every year there's a yearly pilgrimage, and we go out for something to eat. And we had some amazing Bavarian, not Bavarian, Bohemian goulash. God damn, that was good. Really, really good food. Yeah, just some strange ones that were in there. But what was I saying before? I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, that was it. So IWA, before Enforce Tac this year, came out with a little thing saying, "Oh, just so you know, this year's just this part at the beginning of the year, it's just ridiculously kind of packed with stuff, because you've got SHOT Show in the US, and then a few weeks after, you've then got Enforce Tac, and then straight after Enforce Tac, you've then got IWA, and then there was a couple of others as well. I can't remember what the others were. But if you're one of these companies and you're just taking, I don't know, trucks full of stock from one place to the next, it's just a lot tightly crammed into this short period. So what they said is they've said that IWA is now going to be moving to April. I won't try and find the date. I'm sure it was April, kind of halfway through April. So what they're saying, they've tried to say with that is that what this will do is it should make it easier. And I think, for the example that I've said with Helic, and I seem to be picking on Helic and Tex at the moment. I freaking love Helic and Tex. I really do like the gear, so I'm not picking on them. I just seem to be using them as an example quite a bit. But with Helic and Tex, they're like, no, we're only going to come to Enforce Tac. We're not going to do IWA. And it's like, maybe in this instance, if we separate them so that there's a longer gap in between them, that people will come and do Enforce Tac, and they'll do the 3 or 4 days there, which will be kind of the last weekend of February, first weekend of March, and then a month later, back in Nuremberg at the Messe, then there'll be IWA. And I think what they were hoping with that would be that it would be easier then for the manufacturers to have a break in between them. So it's not a massive thing of doing SHOT Show, Enforce Tac, followed by IWA straight away. But apparently there was the word around the campfire is there was a massive, huge kickoff because people will come to both of them. So that now means that you've got to come to Germany for a few days, which is never a bad thing. Go back to wherever you came from, and then come back to Germany a few weeks later for another few days. Which again, it's never a bad thing, but when you're taking around hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of stock because you got one event that you brought twice the amount to because you got two booths, so you're not taking from one to put into the other, you just take twice the amount of stock. I think it's pissed off people even more. So I don't know what's going on with IWA. It seems to be getting smaller each year, and it seems to be, I don't know where I was going to go with that. It just seems to be getting smaller each year, but bizarrely, Enforce Tac is getting bigger and bigger and bigger each year, which is the harder one to get into, which puts me in a strange kind of situation. There's a conundrum there for me, because for Enforce Tac, I can't go into Enforce Tac as me, as Moorlander. I can't make content there. That's the other thing with Enforce Tac. There's Enforce Tac TV, which was ran by the Epic lads. But that was it. There's no other content creators in there. There's no other YouTubers doing this, that, and the other without express permission from them. The entire time I was there, I didn't see anybody like myself making content. So it's going to be hard for me because for next year I've got to make a decision about IWA, which is going to be a tough one because I do want to go to SHOT Show, which I think will be good. Can a normal person attend SHOT Show? Do you know what? I'm not sure. I want to say I think so. I think what they do is, and again, someone might correct me on this, but I think what they do is they have like a couple of days where it's just for your buyers kind of thing and press, and then if I'm right, they then open it up to the public so that all the other people can go in. They can have the meetings, they can film all the stuff that they need to do, and then everybody else can come in and go, "This is kind of cool." They also have range days, which you've got all of your manufacturers there. The range days are invite only. So if you want to go to SHOT Show and then to go to a range day, then you have to be invited to those, or at least I think that's the range day that SHOT Show organise, which is the SHOT Show range day. From what I understand from this year and from last year, the SHOT Show range day had got, I don't know, let's say everybody was there, all the kind of major manufacturers and stuff, or at least 2 years back they were all there. Last year, some of the manufacturers, like I'm sure Mossberg was mentioned, because this year there was no shotguns on the range day. But some of the manufacturers, some of the larger manufacturers have gone, do you know what? We don't want to do the SHOT Show range day. Instead, we're going to hire out this range so that you can come to this. So instead of having it so that everybody's there, they're like, no, we just want to do our own press event, SHOT Show range day. So last year there was less at the range day, and then this year there was even less. But then there was more of these smaller range days out and around Las Vegas in the desert, where they just made these kind of pop-up What's the word? Pop up. Ranges. That's the word that I was trying to think of. So yeah, so next year I'm thinking I might try and do SHOT Show, because I know that the Epic lads are going out to SHOT Show. So I think I'll go out with them, have a Moorlander Epic SHOT Show thing, then come back and then do Enforce Tac with the Epic lads, and then just make a decision on IWA, because luckily with IWA they bring out the booths so you can see who's in what hall, and you can go through it a month or two beforehand, so you can see who's going to be there, and you can decide if it's worth it or not. But hopefully, because it's a month or so afterwards, then there'll be more people there. So I don't know. German company sleeps a bit. I'm not sure what that means. It is. Do you know what? It is a little bit of chaos, but it's more kind of controlled chaos. Oh, hey, how's it going, Farang? How's things? You've got on early tonight, buddy. We're not finishing in 10 minutes. Yeah, it was kind of madness, in fairness. With the Enforce Tac, it was a little bit more kind of controlled madness, because Enforce Tac had got that Enforce Tac TV schedule, so we knew that 11 o'clock we had to be here, 12:45 we had to be here, 13:28 we had to be here, because they'd got the time slots for each of them. What was the weirdest part was dragging these trolleys all over. Let me see if I can. I did take a picture of the trolley. I don't know if this is going to come up on the camera. Let's see if this will come up on the camera. What the hell's this shit? Bloody Google, stop trying to sell me shit. I don't think it's going to come across. Can you guys see that? So on here, so there at the front, that's where they got the lights. All across the top, that was all the filming equipment. Here at the bottom, we got our bags so that we could take drinks and food with us and stuff. That's it from the side there. So we took around like a huge battery just in case we couldn't get access to power whilst we were there. This is one of the only things that I was actually allowed to take photos of. I was like, my company that I work for, they'd love to see this sort of stuff. But there you can see the lights on the side. Is there any more of them? So that again, that was kind of cool. That was it towards the end. So we just finished on the next torch stand. So again, there you can see this side, you can see the lights, you can see all the camera equipment and stuff that was on there. So yeah, we were just dragging those around. There was a couple of manufacturers that I stopped off at on the day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw you the other day." I was like, "Oh, did you?" Like, yeah, you're dragging some massive cart around and just trying to do that. I was gonna stop you and say hi. That's what I was doing. I was dragging one of those around, shouting "Achtung!" all of the people trying to make sure that they're out of the way. And yeah, that was when Taran Tactical walked past. Hilariously, a lot of people, when you in Germany and you say stuff like Achtung and Entschuldigen Sie bitte, that sort of stuff, they move out of the way. If you shout out at the top of your voice, "Make way for the Queen's Guard," people also move out of the way, but even quicker than when you say it in German in a German language country like Germany. Those make way for the Queen's Guards guys, yeah, definitely helped me to be able to push those carts through. Oh, so yeah, it was a little bit chaos, but it was very controlled chaos. Enforce Tac, most of the days we were finished by kind of 5, 6, actually probably a little bit later, maybe 6, 7ish. We'd all get back in the van, all drive over to the place that we're staying. Like I say, it was just outside. I think it's pronounced Allersburg. I hope it's pronounced like that. Stayed at this really nice place. I managed to fulfill something that I've always wanted to do in life. I was in a van with a load of Germans singing 996 Luftballon. And that was a very special moment. My German's not the best, but it's one of those one songs that I can sing in German. So yeah, that was a first, and it was one of those kind of special moments. I was quite happy with that. But then on the flip side, with IWA, there was a freaking national train strike, and the Airbnb that we stayed at was 2 stops down the U-Bahn from the Messe, but it was sufficiently enough that the guy, definitely on beer. Well, it's a stout, but definitely on. I am being a bit slow with these. Let me finish this one. Yes, the Nina classic. Absolutely love that song. It is one of my favoritist songs from the 80s. I didn't realize originally, as many Britons probably didn't realize, I didn't realize that it was sung in German. I didn't realize that Nina was a German. So it wasn't until I was probably in my 20s before somebody went, "What? You do realize that was sung originally in German?" I was like, "Shut up." So yeah, it was weirdly one of those songs that I've listened to so many times in German. Now I don't think I can sing it without it. You know, when you can't sing a song unless it's playing in the background, kind of thing. I definitely couldn't sing it by myself. But yeah, being in a van, there was probably about 7 or 8 of us, all absolutely knackered after doing a whole day at Enforce Tac, singing "Dancing Love Balloon," which was that was a genuine highlight of my trip. This has got one of those, you know, the weird little ball things that go in them. So when you drink it, it makes like a weird kind of gurgle while you try and drink it. I had my tea in that earlier. I can't drink that. Yes, IWA. There was myself and my good friend Paul, who I refer to as the captain. I always call him the captain. So if I refer to him as the captain, then that's who I'm on about. So he's my camera guy. Has been for the last couple of years. So there was myself and the captain trying to work out how to get to the show, and because everybody was trying to get to the show, taxis were taking freaking an hour. Uber, that thing where they get like within 600 meters and then like cancel it so that they can go somewhere else, was absolute ball ache. Just makes you think, oh, did they see me down the road and think, I'm not picking him up, he looks dodgy as fuck. So yeah, that was a pain in the ass. And then we ended up on one of those, you know, the little scooters that you see just like abandoned all around European cities. I had to go on one of those badgers, which was hairy, pretty hairy. But yeah, quite a good laugh actually. And it turns out the line, I think it was like 11 cents a minute or something ridiculous. It was even cheaper than an Uber. Although my first one ran out of electricity about halfway there, so I had to walk the rest of the way, which that's fine. Let the captain go on his. So yeah. But yeah, just get up, go, film. Last year, because there were so many that I wanted to see. I was like a kid in a sweet shop, and I was like, right, we'll go here, and then we'll go there. So we're doing a lot of walking. Whereas this year, the captain was like, we really need to just stay in a room, stay in a hall, stick to that hall, do everything in there, and then move to the next one. Which I think which kind of reinforced this year just how much was missing. Because there were certain halls, the hall that had Tasmanian tiger in usually is the biggest hall, where you'll have all of the other kind of big manufacturers of outdoors gear. You'll have your Corinthia, you'll have your UF Pro, Helicon Tex, Pentagon, Arctis, probably 511 Tactical. They'd all be in that big room. And this year, there was, I think, out of that one room, we did a handful. We did Tasmanian Tiger, we did Next Torch, somebody else as well. Yeah, it was just really weird this year. Do you know? I was talking to. We ended up going out for something. Sorry, I just noticed your comment there, Matt, about like the shows that you guys have there. Where I ended up with meeting some dude. Now, he did give me his business card. I'll tell you what. I'll mention his name now and see if anybody knows him, because apparently everybody in the world knows this guy. And if you don't know this guy, then you're just a turd. I take that back. You're not a turd. You know what I mean. Let's see if I can find his card. Where's his freaking card? He gave. I mean, it was genuine, really, really, really nice guy. But in the time that we were sat down, we went out for something to eat. He gave me. There's the 3 cards that he gave me, and there was another 2 cards that he gave me afterwards. A chap called Kevin Reese. Anyone know Kevin Reese? Apparently, he does a lot of stuff. He writes articles about hunting and firearms. I think he said he was I think he said he was a Marine. In fact, I'm pretty sure he said he was a Marine, because I mentioned my granddad was a Royal Marine. Bollocks! I forgot where I was going with that. But anyway, yeah, really nice guy. We're talking to him, but he was on about the different shows in the US, because they'd just done SHOT Show. They'd come over for Enforce Tac, then they were doing IWA, and then they were going to. There's an NRA show, isn't there? He said that's quite a big one, and then there was a couple of others as well. The next one that he was going to. Oh, my memory's so bad. But yeah, he was saying that there was lots of them, and generally most of those are free. Not free, but they're free to get into. You don't have to like have a certain right or privilege. You want to buy a ticket, then you can go. I quite like to do that. I quite like to go to the US and do more shows there. I know as a content creator, the audience and the market there is huge. But I'm also aware that I'm here in the UK and we're a small, stupid little island. And some people don't like to send stuff to us. But yeah, hopefully next year, really do want to do a SHOT Show. Yeah, do you know what? With Comic Con as well, I'm outside of this stuff. I'm just a massive comic nerd. I've got loads of shit around here. I'd love to do San Diego Comic Con, which I think, again, it's just another one that's kind of getting too big for itself kind of thing. But just still the opportunity to go and do San Diego Comic Con, I think that would be freaking awesome. I'd love to be able to do that. Yeah, mattress would be good. Do you know what? By the time that I'd finished for both of the events, can you remember? You know those it's like a milkmaid seat which is just a seat with a single leg that kind of comes down, and then you strap it over your waist so that you can just sit anywhere. After 2 or 3 days of the first one, followed by 3 or 4 days of the first one, followed by 3 or 4 days of the second one, yeah, my feet definitely need to sit down. Although I will say, and I put out a thing today on Instagram about it. Belleville boots. I can't speak highly enough about Belleville boots. Another kind of American staple piece company as far as footwear is concerned. They're the boots, specifically the ones with the AMRAP soles. They're awesome. They're so good. If I'd have gone with something else, I'd have been probably crippled after 8 days of walking around. But yeah, they were really nice. Oh, did I miss that bit? Right, okay. So SHOT Show, you have to be invited. It's law enforcement and right. Okay, that makes sense. I always thought that was open to the. I might be thinking of something else. I'm getting a little bit behind in the what's it like? I'm just rambling. I'll go past that comment about Iran just for tonight. Maybe that's one for a future one. Rugby shirt from Helican Tex. What? I'll have to check into that one, because if that's a thing, I am 100% getting one of those bad boys. There was somebody at SHOT Show this year showing off a rugby shirt. SHOT. Oh, damn it. Was it Spiritus Systems? It might have been. Spiritus rugby shirt. Yes, Spiritus Systems. They're releasing a rugby shirt, which, having played rugby for eight and a half seasons, I wouldn't go as far as to call it a rugby shirt, but it does look pretty cool. So of course I'm gonna have to pick one up, just because I need to pick one up because it says rugby shirt. But I think at the moment it's a short sleeve version, which I thought was kind of cool. And then later on they're going to do a long sleeve version, which I'll still probably have to pick up as well because it's a rugby shirt. But if Helican Tex are doing a rugby shirt, that's cool. I'll definitely have to pick one of those up. New Boss rugby shirt. Yeah, definitely getting one of those. I can't not. Big rugby fan. I'm glad I'm welcome in Germany. I genuinely thoroughly enjoyed my time in Germany. The Epic crew are exactly what I needed to feel welcome. Like I say, the first night, I think purely because they all know each other. A lot of them had all worked together before. They'd all done these events before. I was this outsider that had kind of come in just to be the English talking guy. Although I just kind of sat there because everybody was talking German to each other, which you'd expect. And I think sometimes they forgot that I don't speak German fluently like they did. But then after that first night, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, it was just such a good laugh. I think one of the things that I like about the Germans and Germany is, although I don't think the British and the German sense of humor are similar, but in a strange way, we're kind of alike. That whole kind of self-deprecating, very sarcastic, a lot of the humor was very dark, which will not be shared on this. If the group chat was to get out, there may be a lot of trouble, kind of thing. Yeah, you just kind of feel at home, kind of chatting with them and stuff. And yeah, just as an Englishman in Germany, you're made to feel very welcome, and plus very lazy in the fact that most people speak English there as well. So yeah, really looking forward to Germany next year. And Nuremberg's such a nice town. I need to see more of Nuremberg. Someone was telling me that there's miles and miles and miles of um, tunnels dug under the city because they used to make a lot of and they still do make a lot of beer there. So they had to store ice underneath them, which again, kind of cool. It's ever so weird with that. Is it called a widget? They call it the little plastic thing that they put them in. Widget, isn't it? Oh God, I'm spilling it on the floor now. And of course, because you're there touching stuff, you're there picking up things, going, "Oh, this is nice," and "Oh, that's brilliant," all that sort of stuff. You get a lot of international people also there picking up stuff, coughing on their hands, which I probably was as well, shaking hands. "Oh, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too," kind of thing. And yeah, I think within like 2 days, I got a cold and just kind of all bunged up. But from the stuff that I do with my own work, when my day-to-day job, when I go on site and stuff, yeah, it's kind of a thing when you've got lots of people there from different countries, all kind of touching each other and stuff. But hopefully, fingers crossed, next year, I think with this break in between Enforce Tac and IWA, it might give people a little bit more time so that if they were only interested in doing Enforce Tac like this year, not doing the follow-up one, hopefully it'll just kind of give them that next year. But there were some cool companies that I saw this year. So Next Torch, they've got some really nice stuff coming out. Their flashlights, they've got a lot of those. Sorry, I thought I've got a bag full of stuff. There's a bag full of stuff that they gave me so that I can bring home, but I think it's inside. So there's a couple of different lights that are like the lights where you've got that little kind of fingering so you can hold it whilst you're kind of pointing at stuff. They're really nice. They've got so most of them are barrel style lights, but they have got one that's a flatter one, which seems to be very popular at the moment. So they've got one of those, and you can get separately, you can get a holster for those, so you can kind of get it on and off your belt and stuff. So they were quite nice. TT had got some really Gucci stuff this year as well. We were struggling for time, so last year the stand was just TT, but this year I'm guessing they must be trying to put more into Tatanka to try and build the tough side of it. Because I know for a lot of Tatanka stuff, it's more of your kind of recreational, kind of getting out sort of gear. But this year they'd got some almost military looking packs, because they're trying to get a little bit more into people that want to do the bushcraft stuff. So they took some of their military style packs and just adapted them ever so slightly. So next year I'm going to try and get more of that stuff. This year, because of some of the limitations, it was just in the background. In fact, you might even see it. So when I was there, at some angles you'll be able to see into the Tonka side of the booth. So definitely try and do some more of that stuff. And their stuff looked really nice. But it was like it was, if you look at the TT stuff, they've got a couple of packs. I think one's called the modular pack. There's the modular 30, and then you've got their what's the name of the pack? Is it the Raid? I'm sure I've got the Raid stuck in my head. Should probably look on the internet, but I hate typing while talking to you guys. So they got those. So they're all kind of 30, 40, 50 litre packs, but instead of just being like the kind of nylon packs that they have with some of their other ones, they were using the same kind of 700D Cordura that they use on the military packs. And instead of having PAL's webbing on the front, it had got this kind of lattice. Can you remember the who is it now? 511 did. They got the Rush packs, and then they got that other pack that was there for 3 or 4 years and then kind of disappeared. They decided to cancel it. So they've just kind of made a consumer-friendly kind of PAL's webbing on the front, or laser cut PAL's webbing. So their stuff was really nice. I was quite impressed by that stuff. So hopefully we'll try and get more of that next year. But there was one that they got on their TT stand that was part of their escape and evasion kind of setup. It's 30 litres, adjustable back, and then there's loads of like extra little bit of compartments and stuff. There's two main pockets on the front, 2 compartments, and then you also get the pouches that come inside of it as well, which I thought was really, really nice. I think with that though, it's probably going to be a little bit of money, so I will try and get one of those because they did look really cool. Just trying to think what other companies that were there. Oh, I was when we went out for something to eat one evening, ended up talking to the people from Ulticlip, which I know from buddies that I've got that are in the US, that in states that you're allowed to carry a knife on your belt, or even you can carry on your belt. Ulticlip make the different kind of belts, clips and stuff that you can get. Really cool meeting those guys. Genuinely really, really, really nice guys. They were both missionaries, I believe. One of the guys is still a missionary and lives. He lives in a South American country, and still has his missionary there, which is really kind of cool. Kind of talking to him, so they were really nice to meet. And then ended up there was another guy as well. There was these Bulgarian dudes, massive. Like I was talking about the Finnish guy from earlier, absolutely massive guys, and they were sport shooters and hunters. So even if they weren't going to beat you up, they could still headshot you from 3 miles away. But I ended up talking to the people from Cellmark, and Cellmark own. Let me find just to make sure that I get this right. Cellmark. They've got their main headquarters, I believe, is in Texas. So they own Sightmark, Pulsar, Enforce, Firefield, and another company called KJ. Is it KJI? They were really cool. So this is probably going to be on Moorlander Tactical a bit more than Moorlander EDC. But yeah, talking to them because Sightmark. Well, actually, let me find the name again. Firefield. So a lot of the stuff that they do is optics. Firefield are their budget kind of range, which is mainly, I say airsofters. A lot of their stuff is purchased by airsofters because it's good stuff, but it's not going to break the bank. So that's Firefield. The other company that they are is also Sightmark. Now Sightmark does a little bit. Well, I say a little bit. That's kind of your middle tier sort of stuff. they got a new prism optic, which was really, really nice, very clear glass through that. And that was I think that was an 18. That was a that was a 1 by 18. No, that was a 1 magnification sight with an 18mm lens, and then they got another one which was a variable prism, and I think that was 1 by 4 and a 22 mil sight. Really, really nice stuff. And I don't know if you saw, there was one where I was lying down with that rifle and the tripod on my what's it. So that was the tripod company that they've got, which is also kind of the higher end stuff, and that's I'm sure it's called K. It was KJI or something like that. Really, really nice tripods. But they've also, and of course, I know I've missed this as well, but they also own Pulsar as well, which I think when it comes to your optics and that sort of stuff, that's also very cool. But I ended up talking to the guy from there whilst we were out having this meal. So he was talking to me about their Firefield stuff, mainly because the stuff that I do is a little bit more. Well, I test my stuff when I'm doing airsoft. But also the other one, my memory's shocking about it. I need to slow down on these. Was Sightmark, because as I say, so if you want to let something that's a little bit more Gucci on your rifle, then you can go with one of those as well. But they also do Enforce. So Enforce last year released a couple of different weapon lights, which were really nice. So might potentially have a look at those. But they've also released two two flashlights, kind of duty flashlights. One's an 18650 flashlight. One is an 18350 flashlight. But they've done them so that they're 100% compatible with things like Surefire and I'm really struggling today. There's is it Modlite? I'm sure I think it's Modlite. So I think Surefire, Modlite, and there's another one as well that's similar to Modlite. They all use the same thread, they all use the same barrel, they all use kind of the same head unit and the same tail switch. So what they've got is they've got these two new kind of duty style flashlights that, as far as features wise, it's literally just on, off, super simple, crazy robust. But if you've got one of these other lights that is $600 just for that one light, then what you can do is, let's say something does happen to it and the tail switch dies on it, or the barrel and the tail switch, or it could just be that you're like, oh no, I swear by Surefire, it's got to be this head unit. You can get one of those, and everything just kind of works together as well. Plus, they also have a weapon light for rifles variant as well that you can attach, and it uses the same connection on the back. So if you like that light, but you swear by a mod light switch, remote switch, then you can just connect those up and they'll just automatically work together. Or it could be that you've got a mod light one and you don't really like their switch, so you could get one from Enforce and you could use theirs instead. So they're all completely compatible with each other, and you can swap around the components. So that was really cool, kind of talking to them and a little bit of an in with them through Martin and the Epic guys. So hopefully that might kind of work out a little bit more for me as well. Right. Okay. Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah. They are nice. So I think is it with Surefire? You've got two different heads, or I might be thinking of Mod Light, because you've got one that's like a high candela, and then you've got another one that's a high spread kind of thing. So I think they do they do similar with that. In fact, if I just click on this link, I keep looking at this thing here, and it's probably going to tell me. Yeah, the handhelds. There's two, and it's their ARC series. There's the ARC 650, and then there's the ARC 350. So the 650 is the 18650. Can I? Yeah, I can put this in here. Tell you what. Through the miracle of technology, that's the company. You've probably, if you're into your kind of your pistol lights and that sort of stuff, they have had quite a big push, especially last year, with their pistol mounted lights. The two ones that you'll see if you follow that link, there's the Wild 1 and the Wild 2. The Wild 2, I don't know. So the Wild 1 is a little bit shorter, kind of this kind of length, whereas the Wild 2 just pokes out a little bit further, similar to like your Olight, Valkyrie kind of lights. And then of course it depends on the size. It depends on the size on your pistol. Whereas the other ones, that's the handheld ones. So there's two. There's a handheld version and there's a weapon mounted version. And yeah, they're actually really, really nice. Build quality on them looks absolutely amazing. They were showing me kind of some of the tests and stuff that they put them through. And then, as I say, so it's designed for 100% compatibility with other series. So if you just want to swap things, then you can completely swap those around. And I've got, so this is my, that's my stack of business cards. These are kind of, you know, like when you collected Pokemon cards back in the day, and you're like, they're my cards, but these are my doubles and swapsies or whatever it was that we call them. So yeah, I've got quite a few people to email, and hopefully it'll be fruitful. And it will just mean that this year there's just a little bit more. As always, it's trying to build the channel. It's trying to work with different manufacturers. Hopefully, working with different manufacturers as well from all under EDC, it'll kind of add to my credibility. I think as a content creator, I still feel little. Maybe that's just because it's me. Maybe I'm just a little bit too humble. I still feel like a smaller content creator. I know I'm not massive. I haven't got a million kind of subscribers. But hopefully this will kind of help me to build the channel, help me to build my credibility working with kind of different manufacturers through Moreland EDC and Moreland Tactical as well. But especially with these, although those lights, the handheld lights, these will definitely appear on Moreland EDC. Whereas, let me find the other ones. So as far as the prisms are concerned, they were with Sightmark, and these were really nice. With the variable one, put this in here as well. The I've not used prisms too much before. A lot of the stuff that I've used, most of it's Chinese kind of copies because I can't afford the expensive stuff. Most of it has been red dots or LPVOs. So having a chance to have a kind of a mess around with a prism was quite cool. And I've had a little bit of that's the 1x4 1:4 prism. But I really did like this. So on a lot of the LP, you've got that dial at the back that will change it from 1:4, 1:6, whatever it is that you're doing, and then you've got your lever on the top to help you to kind of throw it around. But with this, you've got like, so if that's the sight, and then you've got the bit that you change. There's like a whole bit that comes across the top here. So it was this barrel that moves, plus a large element that comes across. So when you've got your gloves on, you just do that, and the whole thing moves because you don't need to worry about where your hand is. It's the first time I've come across that. Someone, oh, whoever's been doing this for God knows how long. But it's the first time I tried that, and just being able to kind of move it around and change between stuff was really quite cool. The quality of the glass as well seemed really nice and crisp. And I think you get like extra little bits like a lot of companies don't give you as far as the mounts and risers and the hex bit on the front, all that stuff, which I need to check before I start making content on them if they send me one. So that was kind of cool as well. I'm trying to think who else I met. There must have been loads of companies. And do you know what? I probably should have written down beforehand, knowing how shite my memory is. They are decent quality lights. So hopefully get to have a play around with those, because they do. I mean, they seemed really good people. They were nice to talk to. But that was one of the things we went on as well. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I know I've mentioned we went for something to eat. But Martin from Epic, who, by the way, I know I've said this several times before, absolutely quality dude. He's an absolute legend. Find Epic Group and give them a follow. In fact, let me put this link in here as well, because if I don't, I'll feel bad. But anyway, yeah. So he's like, "Oh, we're going for a meal on the Friday night. Do you want to come along?" And I was like, "Yeah, sounds cool." I just assumed, in my kind of humbleness, that it would just be the lads from Epic. There is the Epic link. I just assumed it was going to be us, but it turned out there was like loads of kind of folks from different manufacturers that had all come along. There's probably, say, 15, 16, 17 of us. Because, by the way, so originally for Enforce Tac, there were 17 of us from the Epic group, but a lot of people had gone home because they were only there for a short period. So there was kind of even more. There was less of them and more kind of other people, and that was really cool because, like I say, so there was the guys from Cellmark, there was the guys from Multiclip, other just kind of folk that I would have never have had the opportunity to meet, sit down, have something to eat, break bread, kind of before if it wasn't for Martin and the good folks at Epic Group. But hopefully for next year, and it's something that I need to talk with Martin about. Martin had mentioned maybe he was saying that for something like SHOT Show, he didn't want it just to be Epic Group kind of thing. He's like, let's make it this Epic Moorlander event kind of thing, which again would be really cool. I'm just trying to think what else happened. There must have been other stuff that happened. There was people outside complaining. There's always people wanting to complain about something, isn't there? Which I thought was, again, and I'm not passing judgment on folk that like to stand outside outdoors and military events complaining. I'm not passing any judgment. What I found slightly amusing, having talked about earlier the type of people, the caliber, the henchness of the folks that were in there, should these young, highly opinionated people decide to kick off, they'd have just been absolutely mullered. But yeah, that was kind of cool. Trying to think. Oh, there was a bayonet company there. I've never had a chance to play with a bayonet before, and never even kind of wondered before how they attach to a rifle. So that was kind of cool. What else was there? I mentioned the airsoft room. The airsoft room this year was definitely a lot smaller. It's a shame that there just seemed to be a lot less companies there, which definitely felt like a bit of a letdown. Some of the other rooms, I think, because with Enforce Tac there was no airsoft there whatsoever. There just wasn't any. So I didn't miss that in the Enforce Tac kind of bit beforehand. But yeah, with the amount of people that I was assuming that would be there for airsoft, yeah, it was just a shame that there wasn't as much. And some of the companies that were there that have always historically been there, instead of having this big grand kind of booth, was just a smaller, more compact booth. But again, I think because of the size of the hall, last year the airsoft hall was pretty big, and it had been kind of demoted into a smaller, quite bizarrely shaped hall. There was just a lot of room outside all of the stands, because I think even then it was probably a hall that was a little bit too big for the amount of stands that were in there. So yeah, so there you go. That was my debrief. Now there's quite a lot of companies that have given me stuff to come back and to make some content on. Next Torch give me a couple of different lights. They give me a head torch to make some content on. Night Core, whilst I was there, because they knew I was coming to the stand, there was a light that they got, which was the P. I had to film the bit several times, because after 6 days of trying to talk, even I'd forgotten how to speak English. I think it was the P27IX. So they give me one of those. Now they're not released yet, so as soon as they are released, I'll have the content, and that will come out. Who else gave me some stuff? Clip, they give me some clips, so I'll bring some of those. And as I mentioned, there's a huge pile of cards here, which from the Enforce Tac, there's quite a lot of companies that I'd spoken to and just mentioned whilst I was there for Enforce Tac TV that I also have my own channel, and they were like, "Oh, okay, brilliant. Here's our card, and send us an email, and we'll maybe look at making some content together," which is kind of cool. So yes, there you go. Any questions at all over kind of anything we've gone so far? I've appreciated it. It really has been a little bit more of me talking tonight rather than just like interacting with you guys. But I thought just a bit of a debrief on my adventures in Germany, and then maybe the next one we'll get back to kind of talking and having a proper theme. But any questions at all, or how are we all doing? How have you all had a pleasant week? If not, I tell you what we could do. Mine's been all right. Mainly because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was editing content, and I've been back in work Thursday and Friday. So I've only really had a 2-day week this week, even though it was kind of a 5-day week because I was editing at the beginning of it. But yeah, it's good to hear, Matt, that you've had a good week as well, buddy. So maybe we'll call it a night now. But as we always do, there is a giveaway tonight, as we do a lot. Kind of leave it to the end. Maybe I suppose if we leave it to the beginning, then people just come in and they'll get the. You stay to the end. That shows that you've got real dedication to spend an hour and a half listening to me waffling about bollocks. So we've got. we've got the bag. Well, actually, we've got the box full of. Right, we've got two things on the top here. So let's do these. I don't think there's anything in them. Should we just make sure there's nothing in them? There's dog poo bags in that one. So this, what we've got is, this is the Tasmanian Tiger hip pack. It's the Tasmanian Tiger Tac Pouch 8.1 hip pack. And we've got the Helicon Tex EDC. I forget what this one is. I made something on this year, and this I think was last year. So the question is, first person for the right answer in the comments will be one of these two companies is from Germany. Is it Tasmanian Tiger or is it Helicon Tex? Which one of these two companies is from Germany? First person, correct answer in the comments gets to choose which one they'd like. So the question is, we have two manufacturers here, Tasmanian Tiger and Helicon Tex. Which one of these two manufacturers is from Germany? Tasmanian Tiger or Helicon Tex? Answers in the chat. First one, you can decide which one of these you'd like for tonight's giveaway. Florian. Well done, fella. Yeah, correct. Tasmanian Tiger is from Germany. So, Florian, you get the choice. Which one of these would you like? Would you like to have the Helicon Tex EDC shoulder bag? I think this one's called. Or would you prefer the Tasmanian Tiger hip pack or the Tasmanian Tiger Tac Pouch 8.1 hip pack? I forget which one. It's definitely called the 8.1 or something like that. Brilliant. Well, there you go. Now, I'll get in touch with you, and then I'll get your address off you, so we can send this out to you. So yeah, congratulations. I'm trying to think what color this is. I think it's the adaptive green. I'm pretty sure it's the adaptive green version. It's got the hip belt and all that sort of stuff. Congratulations, buddy. How cool is that? Now, I've got one last beer left. So I'm going to go inside. In fact, now I officially just have one last beer left. So I'm going to go inside and probably bother Mrs. Morlander until she falls asleep. But yeah, so we'll do this again. Now let's just check the dates, because I keep getting these ever so slightly wrong, don't I? But the last Friday of the month looks like the 27th of March. In my head, I don't think I've got anything on that day. In fact, Mrs. Morland will probably go, well, actually, that's our wedding anniversary, which I don't think it is. It's in January, I think. Anyway. So the next one, hopefully, will be, I've forgotten already, what was that? It'll be Friday, March 27th. I'll have a think of a couple of ideas, and then we'll do those. There'll be a giveaway, as always. Congratulations again to Florian on that one. I'll get in touch with you, and we'll get this out to you. Oh, awesome! I appreciate. Do you know what? Just the last little comment on there. Thanks. I'm glad you appreciate. I'm glad you appreciate the videos there. But yes, so I shall bid you all adieu. I'm going to take my last drink into the house, go and give Mrs. Morlander some grief. And yes, sign off for now. So I hope you all have a good week. And yeah, see you all soon. Now I need to remember how to change this. I do this every single time. I need to click on that before, I don't know. Sweet, cool. I'll see you in a bit.